do this every time. I should probably have my incense burning before I start. That would probably help. Give me a second here. Okay. Alrighty. So, oh, give me a second, please. Okay. So, jumping straight into it, because I feel like today's gonna be a little bit long. Proverbs chapter 5. It's a shorter one today. And this part of Proverbs, this letter is called The Instruction of a Father. This is Proverbs chapter 5. It says, "My son, attend unto my wisdom and bow thine ear to my understanding, that thou mayest regard discretion and that thy lips may keep knowledge. For the lips of a strange woman drop as a honeycomb, and her mouth is smoother than oil, but her end is bitter as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword. Her feet go down to earth, her steps take hold on hell. Lest thou shouldest ponder the path of life, her ways are movable, that thou canst not know them. Hear me now, therefore, O ye children, and depart not from the words of my mouth. Remove thy way far from her, and come not nigh the door of her house." Nigh, spelled N-I-G-H, means near. "Lest thou give thine honor unto others, and thy years unto the cruel. Lest strangers be filled with thy wealth, and thy labors be in the house of a stranger. And thou mourn at the last, when thy flesh and thy body are consumed. And say, how have I hated instruction, and my heart despised reproof? And have not obeyed the voice of my teachers, nor inclined my ear to them that instructed me. I was almost in all evil in the midst of the congregation and assembly. Drink waters out of thine own cistern, and running waters out of thine own well." That is Proverbs chapter 5, verse 15 and 16. It says, "Drink waters out of thine own cistern, and running waters out of thine own well. Let thy fountains be dispersed abroad, and rivers of waters in the streets. Let them be only thine own, and not strangers with thee." I'm going to read it again. "Drink waters out of thine own cistern, and running waters out of thine own well. Let thy fountains be dispersed abroad, and rivers of waters in the streets. Let them be only thine own, and not strangers with thee. Let thy fountain be blessed, and rejoice with the wife of thy youth. Let her be as the loving hind and pleasant roe. Let her breast satisfy thee as all times, and be thou ravished always with her love. And why wilt thou, my son, be ravished with a strange woman, and embrace the bosom of a stranger? For the ways of men are before the eyes of the Lord, and he pondereth all his goings. His own iniquities shall take the wicked himself, and he shall be holden with the cords of his sins. He shall die without instruction, and in the greatness of his folly he shall go astray." This was a lot for 22 chapters, my goodness. So I'm just gonna go over, because I know it's in Old English, I'm gonna go over the points that I think are very valid. So in the beginning it says, my son, attend unto my wisdom and bow thine ear to my understanding, that thou mayest regard discretion and that thy lips may keep knowledge. That what you speak is going to be knowledgeable. For the lips of a strange woman drops as a honeycomb. The things they say sound sweet, and her mouth is smoother than oil. For her end is bitter as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword. Promises in the front, chaos in the back. Her feet go down to death. That's where you're walking. Her steps take hold on hell. Lest thou shouldest ponder the path of life, her ways are movable, that thou canst not know them. Unless you're really meditating on life, reflecting properly, the things that are told to you, where are we? The things that are told to you can move you in such a way that unless you're really thinking, unless you're really taking it in, it won't really come to you what is being said. You won't really have time to sit back and really take in the, what would I say, the trickery. And in here it says a woman, a strange woman, but I don't want it to be taken exactly literally like a female woman. It's like when sometimes these things are metaphorical, it's the energy when you're talking to a man, it's the energy of seduction that comes with lies. It's the energy of how, how a man would probably interpret being seduced. Someone that knows your weaknesses and they come with something and it sounds amazing, it's smooth, it's a perfect opportunity. Why would you not hop on that? You feel happy, but it's a trick. And this can come from male or female. It's just metaphorical, but it's the energy of seduction that they come with promises first, fake things first, niceness first, give a little bit and take everything. Not take a lot, take everything. And it's saying, if you don't ponder on the path of your life, then her ways are movable. They can move you from where you're at. That thou cannot know them, that you wouldn't recognize that this is tricks. You wouldn't recognize what I've gone through, and maybe people that are coming to terms with how their life has fallen apart. You come to the conclusion that you were tricked, that you were love bombed. No matter how cunning you are, no matter how intelligent you are, no matter how wise you are, you find yourself in a situation where you sit back and you say, how did they get me here? Sometimes it's not just money. They study you and they figure out what it is they can present to you. But if you're a person who is moved by money, that's the easiest thing in the world, and most people are. Most people are easily moved by an opportunity to make money. And what's even better than an opportunity to make money is an opportunity to continue to line your pockets, an opportunity to continue to fill your pockets day after day, month after month, make you dependent on an energy. It says, hear me now, therefore, O ye children, and depart not from the words of my mouth. Remove thy way far from her, and come not nigh the door of her house. Remove your ways far from her. Not just remove yourself, not just no more contact. Do not operate on behalf of what has seduced you and destroyed you. Lest thou give thy honor unto others, and thy years unto the cruel. Self-explanatory. Your honor is your reputation, it's your name, it's your legacy, it's everything that you work for and towards. Everything that you're working for brings honor to this because they see the value in you. The value in you that people pretend not to see. They pretend not to see. You know it, they know it that it's there, and they know. People look at you and they study you, and they're like, how can I come towards this person? A lot of the times they do false praise. Oh my God, you've helped me so much. Oh my God, you're amazing. Oh my God, you do all this for me, to suck you in. The same way that you ignore reproach, you have to ignore praise. Because praise can get you in your ego, and praise can confuse you. And I see it happen to people all the time. Like, people raise them up on a platform. In my language, we have something we say where, I'm not gonna say it in my language, but it's basically where they throw you in the air to drop you on a rock. And they basically exalt you, they boost your ego, they make you think you're the greatest thing in sliced bread, sliced bread, I should say, so that you are much higher to take a fall. If you're already on the ground and you're close to the ground and someone drops you on a rock, there's a possibility you won't break. But if they throw you up and you fall, guaranteed the damage is worse. It's the fall from grace. This is a tactic that they use in gang stalking. They go out of their way, boost you up, buy your products, support your business, boost your engagement, a whole bunch of likes, a whole bunch of follows, a whole bunch of comments, so that the day that they pull the switch, the engagement drops so drastically. It drops, and the fake pages stay there, and they don't unfollow you, they stay there. You have a dead platform, nothing reaches anywhere. Had they not come with that big push in engagement, it wouldn't be that bad. Had they not come and praised you and told you how amazing you were and put you on a pedestal and made you feel like a king and gave you a big budget and gave you people who are following your every move, gave you big respect, loved you, told everybody about it. If they didn't give you that platform, the fall from grace wouldn't feel as bad. And they do this to everybody. Everybody, no matter how important they feel, is in the same predicament. They are one decision away from falling apart completely. Some people know it, some people see it, some people don't. But when this happens, you're essentially giving all the years of your work to cruelty. You're giving your dignity, your honor, your life force to cruelty that gives honor and power to other people. And what are you left with? Lest strangers be filled with thy wealth, and thy labors be in the house of a stranger. And everything that you're working towards is building something else, and you're not able to get anything out of it. You're not able to build with whatever you get out of these situations. You're not able to have anything that grows. They will take it back. They have access to it, and that is both energetically and in real life. In real life, you get money from these organizations. It doesn't grow. It doesn't build anything. They take it back the minute you do not comply. And they can do that because energetically, they've already latched themselves onto you before they actually approach you. And thou mourn at the last, when thy flesh and thy body are consumed, and say, how have I hated instruction, and my heart despised reproof. some people cannot hear reproach. It's not because reproach is not easy to hear, first of all, especially when you feel like you're trying your best, you're doing what it is you think you're supposed to be doing, understood, but some of those things are hard to hear because they're so true, and possibly because it's not easy to navigate it. If you have issues that are not easy to navigate, you'll come to a point where life will hold you back and force you to look at where you're going, because it's going far too, it's out of control. And have not obeyed the voice of my teachers, and not inclined my ear to them that instructed me. I was almost in all evil in the midst of the congregation and assembly, publicly humiliating yourself, doing evil things while the people that pay you strategically keep their hands out of it. Because when you fall, they let you fall alone. Nobody comes and says, oh, but we're the one, but it was our idea. They let you fall alone. Drink waters out of thine own cistern, and running waters out of thine own well. This is one that I was taught as a kid. This is how I grew up. We don't take things from strangers. I think Africans are like that as well. And maybe countries where there's a lot of witchcraft are like that. Every evil comes with a gift. How else are they going to get you to accept it? If they wrap it for what it is, then you're not going to take it. They have to give you candy. They give you a congratulations at your wedding. They rub your stomach. Now you can never have kids. They come as a friend. They come as a support. They come as in the guise of loyalty. They come with money. That's how they burn your business down, with money, with purchasing from you. So on the outside, someone can say, your business is not making money, but God is protecting that business by not making it make money. On the outside, people might say, this person is falling apart or this is happening, but this is God's plan. This is God's. That's why things only happen when God wants them to happen, regardless of how hard you're working. You have to drink out of your own cup, because drinking out of other people's cups is how you get poisoned. And people, it's hard in this society today to understand that. In North America, witchcraft is purposely treated as something that is not real, so that it can continue unencumbered. And in other countries, people know you got to be careful who you sleep with. Listen, so in other countries, there'll be things like, an example, there'll be like older women who are rich, who are married. Their husband has a big business, they're wealthy, and they want like a sugar baby. So they approach these young boys, usually boys in university, boys that are very educated. They have a bright future ahead of them. Because when you're living it now, it's not a destiny. You're already harvesting what's yours. But a bright future. And what they do is they give these boys money, they sleep with them, and then they disappear on them. Now, these boys in the beginning are not thinking, let me get the address to this lady's house, let me make sure I know where this lady lives, let me this, let me that. They're not thinking that. They're just thinking, there's this woman, I mean, it might not be my preference of who to sleep with, but it's a win-win. I get money out of it and I go. And then their life starts falling apart. They start losing everything. They don't have the motivation or the strength to continue with school. They drop out of things, opportunities that were for them leave. Their I want to say beauty, but their handsomeness leaves, and they're left with nothing. And this woman disappears. And it's right after she disappears that nothing works anymore. Whatever was supposed to be theirs is gone. That's how it works. They give you something. Because you accept it, it's equal exchange. It's like a payment. You didn't have all the details, but it doesn't matter. That spiritually, that doesn't matter. It's one thing if they came and they stole it and gave you nothing. But when they exchange, they put money in your hands. It's one thing to hold the money, another thing to use the money. It's one thing, you know, in places like that, in countries like that, when you get cash, you got to clean the cash before you use the cash. You must clean the money. You cannot just take cash from strangers and use it. Sometimes you'll touch cash, and immediately as you touch it, if you are aware, where does it say? I'm going to read it again where it says, lest thou shouldest ponder. Lest means unless. Unless thou shouldest ponder the path of life, her ways are movable. Unless you're actually sitting there thinking things through, you'll touch money, and the minute you touch the money, you get sick. You sneeze, you feel tired, you feel dizzy, something, but you're not taking it as, you're not connecting that it's the money that you touched. And if you take that money and you put that next to other money, you put that in your wallet, you start using that money, you put that in your bank account and mix that money with other money, it curses everything else. This is energetic and this is spiritual. Now, I'm not here to convince people of what they want to believe. I'm here to tell you because I experienced it. You'll get one sale, and that one sale blocks all the rest of the money coming in. One sale. The money is cursed. What use do you have for money that blocks all future money? It always comes in a fancy package. And once you accept it, once you mix it with yours, once you spend it, once you live with it, the thing you purchased is inside of here. That thing is cursed already. The thing is cursed. You brought it in your house. You're living with it. If you get cash and you're under spiritual attack, it needs to be cleansed. Clean the cash before you use it. It's simple. Where am I? When you're doing something, you have a business, you have a job that you want to get, do not take favors. Favors are dangerous. Favors are a blank check. I despise a favor. People don't understand why I'm like that. If they go out of their way without my permission, without telling me, and they buy me something, I immediately pay them for it. Immediately. And they don't want to take the money. No, we're sisters. We are not sisters. We're strangers. We are strangers. Call it by its correct name. I will treat you as a stranger. Don't be shocked. We are not sisters. I do not know you. This gift is a manipulation. This gift is to disarm me. This gift is to put my boundaries down. This is how you must think of favors. Favors are manipulative. It is a blank check. I bought you 3 gifts for $300, called you a sister, and now I'm going to turn around and say, can you please do something for me? And now I should feel obligated, because if I don't, you're going to go and say, I did all this stuff for you and you didn't do anything for me. They will do work for you and they will undercharge you as a brother. And now you must turn around, and what you sacrifice is not something that is equal in value to what they gave you, but what you must sacrifice is something spiritually valuable for them. And whatever it is, whatever action that you take, that you make that sacrifice and you take, that action is what blocks you from God's protection. You have a business, your business is struggling, they're gonna repost you, they're already in their little group, they already told their little group in their group chat that when we repost this person, everybody go follow them, everybody go be in their stories, everybody go give comments, and everybody go book with them. And people don't care about the booking, they don't care about the product, they don't know where that thing is that they purchased from you, because they were given the money to purchase it. by the person who wants to destabilize you. They were given that. So they don't care. They don't even know where that book is. They're probably using it as a cup holder. They don't know where that shoe is. They don't know where that clothing is. There were people walking in my store, 50 years old, buying clothes they couldn't fit into. They didn't care that it didn't zip up. They didn't care that it was damaged. They didn't care. They just wanted to spend. And they wanted to take a picture of the receipt and put it in a group chat. I just want to show my friend how much I spent. They're under the same illusion. All of them are under the same illusions that there's friends here. They are just on a string. So they come, they support you, they put money into whatever it is that you're doing because they see that you're trying. God has you in a stalemate for a reason. You take help from them, now you feel gratitude because they just put money in your pocket. But you know how I know when you've been getting money in your pocket that you shouldn't have gotten, when you don't look the same, when people can physically see that money's not coming in, it's taking a long time for business to pick up, your money's slowed down, your platform is dead. That's when the money has taken hold. Hook, line, and sinker, it did what it was supposed to do, and it's a public fall. They like it public. It's humiliating. Your actual real followers, they've logged in and hacked your account, and they've gotten rid of all the real people, and it's being replaced by followings of fake people, fake accounts. Yeah, they'll destabilize you, but it comes with a kiss, it comes with a smile, it comes with a favor. So despise anything free. In my country, we call it a ride for a ride. Some man stops on the side of the road and asks a young girl, do you want to ride home? Do you want to not walk? And you hop in the car and you get kidnapped. You hop in the car and now he expects something in return, but he didn't tell you that before you got into the car. So this is how, the way they train people over here is different from other countries where people understand that people constantly want to take advantage of vulnerable people. They put you in a predicament, they put you in a state, they put you in a bad way so that they could turn around and take advantage of the fact that you need money, you need support, you need help, you feel alone, you're isolated. They create the trauma to trauma bond with you. They have to go out of their way like that with some people. Some people it's just like, hey, you like money? I have money. This is what I need. And you don't see everything behind it, what it comes with. Let them be thine own and not strangers with thee. Let whatever you do be your own and not strangers inside of what you're doing. Let thy fountain be blessed and rejoice with the wife of thy youth, your first love, the wife of thy youth, meaning the person that was there with you initially. Let her be as the loving hind and pleasant roe. Let her breast satisfy thee at all times, and be thou ravished always with her love. And why wilt thou, my son, be ravished with a strange woman and embrace the bosom of a stranger? And it's literally metaphorical. Be satisfied with what you have. It's almost like, I don't want to say the devil you know, because that's not really what it's trying to portray, but if you have people that you know that you've already been with, family. Now, in the terms of, this is a page that talks about gang stalking, so it's families that gang stalk people. It's people that you grew up with, so I don't necessarily even want to just say that. But don't invite strangers into what you're doing. People that strategically, hey, we saw your business. You know how many of these emails I get? We saw your business and we saw a lot of potential. We saw a lot of positive indicators. Not at this time. Thank you. Let me harvest my positive indicators. Let me see my positivity and let me work on it at the time that is right, at the time God said it needs. Don't push me before I am ready, so that nobody else can come and say, because of us, you did this and now you owe us. Because of what we did for you, here's the evidence, here's the email, here's the document, here's the picture. Do what you're doing for yourself. If it's gonna take 25 years to develop it, fine. If it's gonna take into your 50s to get it done, fine. It's safe in your pocket until you're 50 when the coast is clear. Any minute before that, you're leaving yourself at the mercy of other people, for other people to come in and take from you what is rightfully yours. There is this speed to develop, to get rich, to have something, to prove yourself. And I understand it too for some men, especially more than women, where it's like you're a certain age, you've been ambitious and hardworking, and you want to see something materialize. But you must understand that's not how God works. God could come in at any time and bless you. Are you ready to handle what you're going to have? It's not about if you can get it, it's about if you can keep it. And if it's even worth having. And a lot of things are not worth having. All money is not good money. Remember that. All money is not good money. You might as well be selling drugs to an undercover agent or a whole group of undercover agents. That's how speedily people want to drive towards getting money. You got the money, you spent the money, and what's coming after? What is coming in 3 to 6 months? There is no point to that. You might as well had not found yourself in that situation at all. That's the point. You got to take time to watch where you put your foot, especially when what you're driving towards is wealth. Everything people think about in these situations is only money. People only think about profit. People don't ever sit back and say to themselves, what am I going to have to do for this, and how long? And are these the kind of people that I want to work with? Do I want to get in bed with these types of people? Be satisfied with the little that you have. If you have nothing, sometimes you got to be satisfied with it. From the outside, people might judge it. From the inside, there is peace. From the inside, there is security, there is stability, there is safety. It's better to have one small piece of stale bread that you can taste when you bite it and you can sleep, rather than to have a whole bakery. You cannot sleep, you have anxiety, you're looking out the window, you're sleeping in a bulletproof vest, you have to go buy weapons, you don't want to go anywhere. The fancy cars are locked up, everything is bolted. Do you think you feel the vibration of wealth, or you feel the prosperity, or you feel lucky in situations where you cannot enjoy things? There are people who have houses that they cannot stay in the house. Nice house, they cannot feel what it feels like to enjoy that because of how it was gotten, because of what they participated in. So it is better to take your time, develop things by yourself, one step at a time, before giving all your years and your labor to something and still coming out dead broke with nothing, dejected, horrible reputation, exactly as you started in the beginning, is the same way it ejects you. It's like, you know who, that reminds me of Floyd Mayweather. When you're dating Floyd, you'll get the most expensive handbags, the most expensive shoes, the most everything. And you can use it and you can walk around here feeling like you're everything. And in 6 to 8 weeks, because these relationships do not last long, in 6 to 8 weeks, when you're done, the media frenzy is done, the hype is done, everybody wanting to be your friend is done, he comes back and he's like, I want the purses and the shoes back. He literally takes shoes back. I remember reading this online. I remember other people talking about it, like girls talking about it online. And then there was a story I heard of Drake was buying all these Birkins and he said it's for his future wife. And I was like, no, it's for girls that you date to make them feel important. And then you're going to take it back. And it's like protecting your investments so you don't continue wasting money on women. Because it's not like you're going to take the time to cultivate a good relationship that's built on whatchamacallit, oh my goodness, what's the word? That's built on mutual understanding and respect and all of that. It's not built on any of that. This is literally, you know, we could call it what it is, or we could pretend it's not, but there's an understanding. And when it's done, I'd like you to go your way and, you know, give me my stuff back. So it's a one-time purchase, and it's not multiple purchases where women are getting off on me. That's how a lot of organizations and situations work, is where they know that people are going to come for the money, and they know that people are not going to have any loyalty. So they have to structure their organization like this so they don't continue losing. So people come, they do it for a little while, they build their life, they buy a house, they whatever, and then they say, oh, I gotta go. And then you're in a constant state of trying to replenish people. So they trap you. For the ways of man are before the eyes of the Lord, and he pondereth all his goings. His own iniquities shall take the wicked himself. Iniquities means sin, wrongdoings. A man's own wrongdoings shall take him down, and he shall be holden with the cords of his sins. Stagnated, stuck in place, a cord is there to tie you up. He shall die without instruction, and in the greatness of his folly he shall go astray. In the greatness of his foolishness, in the greatness of his foolishness, he shall go astray. This is basically a message that says, when you get scriptures like this, God is really calling for your attention. Don't waste your time. Don't waste any more of your time. Don't be deceived and seduced by people. This brings up a good topic, because this kind of is in line with what I wanted to talk about today anyway. What is more than just being gang stalked in the way that I was, is the realization of the undercurrent of, I want to say it's a process of enslaving people. It's like a underground, secret, in plain sight, hidden in plain sight process of targeting a person, locking them into position, making them dependent, binding them to something that they do not understand. And when they're fully binded and dependent, or when they're rebellious, or when they don't want to stay, taking everything from them and putting them in a situation where they cannot get out of it. They're trapped. First, I want to say a number of people have been in this situation and tried to leave and could not. And one thing you must understand, and if I'm speaking to whoever's watching this, I think a lot of my messages are future messages because my engagement is poor, but if you are a man watching this and you're thinking to yourself, your age and the fact that you're losing everything, you must understand it as women understand it. A woman may make a mistake and marry a man who has a lot of money because she thinks she's going to profit off of that situation, or that is the way to get happy. Or she might have parents or friends that say, don't be foolish, be with this person has money, this person can take care of you. And she may or may not be happy, and you know, she'll say, or she'll console herself and say, well, I'm not happy with the circumstances, but at least I'm taken care of. And the problem with that is that there comes a day where the abuse is so horrible, or sometimes it's not even abuse. Sometimes it's disinterest. This guy could care less about you. Sometimes maybe this guy was not even straight and just needed a beard, just needed a wife so people could see that he has a wife. Sometimes he wasn't straight, but he wanted kids, and he ignores you. He doesn't sleep in the house. He's never home, so you by yourself. And because of this agreement, you can't go out and have a boyfriend or have anything to yourself, because then it's going to look strange. But whatever he does, he keeps it secret. Kind of sloppy, doesn't really care, because doesn't he give you what you need? So there's an undercurrent of, I could care less if you are in a car accident. You know, you're in the hospital in a car accident, you're in the hospital giving birth, I gotta go on a trip, I gotta do something, I gotta be somewhere. And it gets to the point where it's so bad that you have to say to yourself, is this worth me being here? I would prefer to have a humble whatever life than to feel like this. It's not like this person is necessarily abusing you. It's just that your cups are empty. There's this reality star that said her love tank is empty. And she used to say that to her husband, like, my love tank is empty. It's like, it means she doesn't feel loved. She doesn't see the point of her being there. That is how you have to look at it. If you are trapped in one of these situations and you prayed to God to get you out, you hoped and you wish that you can come out. People think that prayer is just getting on your knees and praying to God in like a formal way. Prayers can be hopes that you put out to the universe, and you don't know you're putting it to the universe, but everything you feel, you're beaming out. All of these emotions are beaming out, and the universe is receiving it. So it can also be things that you imagine, things that you like, things that you lust after. Energetically, you're pulling it to yourself, whether you know it's intentional or not. Well, I didn't actually pray about it, but you wanted it. You thought about it multiple times. You spoke it out. You may have forgotten about it. Eventually, it finds its way. So if you're in one of these organizations and you lose everything, and you're clinging now to get back in to the same thing that you needed to get out of, to the same thing that was unpleasant, to the same thing that you were willing to pay money to leave. At the time, if they had told you it would cost you this much to leave, you would have worked hard, made it, and given it back. So now that you've lost everything, you've gained your exit. You've gained your ticket to leave. You can go free. Why are you fighting this process? This is a wish come true. Because you're starting at zero. There are worse things than that. In fact, starting at zero is actually a good thing, because you can build yourself. You can build upon the knowledge that you have. If you're a grown man who's made money before in your life, you can always make money. The how is not so much as important. Be realistic. That's why I personally don't ever worry about what my situation is as far as money is concerned. If I really had to ignore everything and, I hate to say it, but put balls to the wall, I can make money. I can generate money right away. I gotta be careful. You gotta be careful how you make money, with who you make money, who you collaborate with. There's this whole thing about collaboration, and people invite strangers into something that is sacred through collaboration. Do you know before companies collaborate how much they have to go through? How much contracts they put in place, how much research they do? It is targeted, it must make sense. What is this person's audience like? But we're in a day and age where anybody can approach you and expects to get a positive answer of yes, we can collaborate, and the collaborations only serve to destroy you and your reputation even further. You have to take the exit that you've been given and deal with what you have at the moment you have it, how you have it. Other people pray for this kind of a release. Other people pray that they could have been given up on in this way, but at least, yeah, you might have some consequences that come with that. Yeah, you might not have any food to eat for a while. Yeah, you might be on your face. Yeah, you might sleep on the floor. Sleeping on the floor in peace is sweet. I promise you, everybody sleeps on the floor at some point. You're a student, you get a new apartment, you don't have money for a bed. I've slept on the floor multiple times in my life. You're buying a new house. When I bought my house, my kids, I had enough for bedroom sets. I had more. I just didn't want to spend. I wanted to be mature, but my kids had bedroom sets, full-on bedroom sets. I was sleeping on the floor, on a mattress on the floor, but it was my house. It was the first house. I bought it. I was happy. I was at peace. I didn't have a couch. I didn't have anything. I brought friends there to show them that I purchased the house, and the first thing they said was, they didn't say congratulations. They laughed and they said, but you have no furniture. Somebody who I had given my bedroom set because I wanted to buy something new, they said, you have no furniture. That was a congratulations. That's a hater. That's somebody, because it doesn't matter. That's a big deal. That's a big deal to have something like that. That motivated them to go scramble and try to do something for themselves. That's really what that came to. They really compared themselves and said, wait, how comes this person did that and I didn't do that? That's all that is. It doesn't matter. People really look at, you know how many people that we all want to be slept on the floor, that took the money that they would have bought food with, that they would have gone out, that they would have impressed friends, that they would have bought a car. They took all that sacrifice, they took all of that and invested it into themselves to build themselves. That's called being responsible. But more than that, that's how it got done. That is how it got done. Do not attach your self-value and your self-worth to things, because once they take the things from you, you lose your self-value and your self-worth. It matters how you see yourself, not how other people see you, because you cannot control that. If you see yourself as a pauper, you see yourself as a poor man, that is the energy that you're walking around in. You see yourself as someone who's going through a transition, somebody who has to start. Let me tell you, when you transition and you make any upgrade in life, it definitely feels like you're starting from scratch. When I went from having really small locations in like really ridiculous malls, and I learned how to sell to people where there was next to no traffic. I learned how to do that. Then I found myself in big malls with traffic. And you think just because you're in a big mall with traffic, you're going to get business. People were coming in and walking right back out, and I had to figure out why. I was starting from scratch. I was the smallest fish in a huge pond. In front of us was Reebok was here, Puma was here, restaurants to either side, big stores. I had to learn. Weeks before Christmas came, all their professional marketing was out. I still had the same stock on the shelf. Weeks before summer came, they already had summer stock out. You know how they have Halloween stuff or back to school? They already have back to school stuff. Weeks ago, it's already hit the shelves. And I remember going to a store with my kid and she's like, how's this already here? I'm like, because they need more time to sell the stock. They need to get people in the mindset that this is coming, shop early. They don't need to advertise that. As soon as you come in, they put the displays on the front. I had to learn that it was way more than customer service, way more than pricing, way more than the displays. It was a full process that was going to make me successful and to compete amongst these people. And it took a while of being broke, of having stagnant sales. I had days where I made not $1 in a busy mall. And I remember there was a day I came home and I made like $69 or $70. And I'm like, what am I doing here? What have I done? That's how it feels when you start fresh. You're thinking, what have I done? Because in your old life, you used to make this much, you used to have this much, and now you're gonna start something and you're like, what the hell is this? But that's what it's about, the fresh start. That is what it's about. It's about learning, how do I do it? How do I do it? It's the learning process comes first. It's frustrating. Taking someone from having had so much to putting them back in a learning process. How do I do this? But you got to do it properly. You got to do it by yourself. No handouts, no help, no collaborations. And you get in your process and you learn. And then we had this thing where we said no $0 days. I don't care if I make $5, $10, no $0 days. And then we had days where we were like, we need to make on a weekend this amount. On a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we're making this amount. No ifs, ands, or buts. And we hustled, and it was in hustling that you learn things. It doesn't matter if it's a kid. My youngest started working in my store. How old was she? Maybe, I don't even remember. Maybe 12, 13. And I was like, oh my God, people are gonna see this baby face. And I know they were probably talking about us, but this girl, these kids got so good. I had one who was a baby and one who's a hardcore introvert who is not very talkative, not very social. And being on that sales floor, it's like they take the sales very personally. And I started paying them a percentage of sales, not a salary. They weren't just getting money to get money, they were getting a percentage of sales. So I knew what kind of day they were having when I walked in the store. You can trust people that make percentages because they know the more they sell, the more they get. They're constantly in the cash, like how much did we make today? And I could walk in some days and they're on the verge of tears, they're holding it back. And I walk in some days and they're bouncing off the walls. And it's like, no matter who comes in, I don't have to say, hey, go help the customer. They're racing me to help. No, I got this one, I got this one, I got this one. They're racing me to go help the customer. They're racing to get the customers in the change room. They're racing to get the customers out of the change room onto the cash. They know what to say. They know what they said last time that didn't work. They're learning. It wasn't always like that. The little one, I used to have to, when she wouldn't talk to anyone, I had to put her at the door and she would cry as if you were abusing her. I'm like, all you gotta do is say good morning to people as they walk by. That's it. Just say hello. And it took a while and it was a slow thing, but they learn and you will learn. No matter where you are in life, no matter what the hurdle is, it's the learning part of it. You gotta get obsessed with it. When I first started with learning certain things, I had to put myself in a frame of mind where I had to make it enjoyable for myself so I would always be there. Because that's what it took. That's the level of dedication that it takes. You learn on the ground. Something works, something sticks, you keep doing it, something else happens, and you go from there. This is how you take yourself out of a hurdle. You do not, for fear of being talked about, for fear of experiencing what it's like to have nothing, of being broke. You don't let the fear make you go back to what despised you, what didn't work for you. When God cuts you loose, it looks like losing everything. Because in order to enter a new cycle, you cannot go with the things of the past. I've had cycles where I've been dealing with people from, I think I was maybe about 18 years old when I realized there were two people in my life that I loved, that if I didn't get rid of, my life would not work. If I stayed away from them for a bit, I would notice things start working. And the minute I start talking to them again, things fell down. It wasn't them doing it. It was life showing me, you gotta let go of this. It's time to leave this behind. They were two people that I loved. It was my best friend. It was the father of my kids. And they themselves were probably in and of themselves. I mean, it wasn't abusive. It wasn't crazy. It was tolerable things that you can say, well, no one's perfect. But in hindsight, when I got real friendships and real relationships, I was like, that was awful. Why would I have put up with that? This is how it feels. This is how it's going to feel when you find yourself in the correct position. You're going to find yourself with balance, working with balance, where there's time to enjoy what you're working for, where there is, the relationships here are positive. You feel good about yourself. You're not always pandering to people. You're not always having to be fake. You're not always having to negotiate with people in a way where you know that there's no loyalty here. You're not surrounded by people where you feel isolated. When you've been cut loose, you must understand, and some of us understand better than others, those of us who are spiritual and who are already on that path, that the only way forward is with nothing, but that is the way forward. And you have to trust yourself that you have enough skills, enough gifts, enough talents, enough resilience, enough patience, enough dedication, that your success is guaranteed. It's your feelings you have to adjust. You have to adjust your emotions. You have to tune yourself properly. That goes whether or not you've been gang stalked into a corner. Listen, sometimes a new beginning takes people having to go to jail. It takes people having to go bankrupt. It takes people having to lose everything. It takes people having to get through messy divorces, lose their kids. That is the mindset it takes. Every time you have to move forward, every cycle demands something of you, a sacrifice to move forward. That's how the cycles work. And when you get to the point that you understand cycles, you start forfeiting things. You don't wait for the universe to take it from you. You say, I am never going to get out of here unless I get rid of this. It was like with my house. I was so eager to sell it because I'm like, I'm not getting out of here with these things. I am eager to get rid of them. I was on a trip and all I could think about the entire trip was, I need to get rid of this. I need to get rid of that. I need to get rid of that. Getting rid of things. If you don't get rid of it, the universe will get rid of it for you. And that's when it feels painful. But even if it had to happen that way, you still have to acknowledge that it had to happen. That's when you can go on the fool's journey, starting at zero, unencumbered, hands free, so you can catch new things. Because the people that are here are going to block the opportunities. They will feel threatened by every new move, every new idea, every new realization is going to make them feel threatened that you're abandoning them. Because they can already see the writing on the wall. You couldn't see it, but they can. You think you can take them, and you cannot. You can't take anybody on this with you. You gotta go on your own. It's hard because of the attachment you may have. You may think, well, these people were here with me through the most horrible times. Maybe they're the bad luck. Maybe they're the stagnation. Maybe they're what's holding you back, no matter who you are. You gotta walk through on your own. When you're in these cycles and these portals are closing, everybody here loses everything. The emperor loses everything. The devil loses everything. Even the devil is losing in this. The devil put a lot of hard work in and is losing a lot of followers either way, losing a lot of people that were loyal to treachery either way. Everybody here loses. Because whatever this is, when God comes in to break it apart, everybody has to walk away with no pay because this was in service of the wrong thing. It's better to make peace with it and walk away from it. It's better to release it voluntarily than sit there and fight with it as if you're trying to hold on to your shackles. It's not as if, you are trying to hold on to your shackles. Be wise. The people here who feel like they've lost business relationships and jobs, you've lost your shackles. And you gotta thank God for allowing you to have a fresh start. That is very merciful of God to release you. I think of it all the time, like I wasn't happy that I lost the lease at my store. But had that not happened, I would not have been free to walk away. Because had I had the lease, my time would have been too drained on day-to-day managing a store in a busy mall to even look up and say, well, how else can I not be dependent on the people that are coming here? I would have truly been dependent on those people. I would have truly been stuck with those people. And to get out of that would have financially costed me. Because those kind of contracts, those permanent contracts in malls, you don't just get out of them. There are companies that have filed bankruptcy 5 years ago that are still fighting with those malls to get out of it, that are still making the headlines and the news because of it, that still have to open locations and sweat it out and are not working. They're not making money to profit. They're making money to pay these people out. All that glitters is not gold. And if God releases you, it's because there's worse down the line for you than this. As bad as this looks, I always say it can always be worse. If you're seeing how bad it is today, you don't want to see how bad it could be tomorrow, because God clearly has plans in this situation here. So there are people that feel like they're out of money. There are people that feel like they can't pay for things. There are people that feel like they have financial issues because of the fact that they can't earn with this organization. It's time to dust yourself off and look for something else. Look for another way. Release or forfeit what it is you can't afford. Be responsible and grab the bull by the horns and do it yourself, because you're going to lose it either way. Because the way you were living was not sustainable. What you were doing was not sustainable. That's the point. I want to talk about, and I don't think I'm going to have time for all of this, but so there are people in my situation that gang stalked me, and I think that it's hard to think that there are not people who are not sitting there thinking to themselves, that they would love to be free of this life, but this was one of those lives where it's like there's no way out, and that's how it's marketed, that's how it's advertised. I'm sure they've looked at me in my fight and been like, why don't you just accept your fate like the rest of us? I went through my fight. It's taken me 2 years, and I went through like as anybody else. The only difference is that I had guidance, I had faith, and I had God with me. And I was giving God something to bless. I was giving God my resilience. I was giving God my determination. I was giving God the fact that I would never give up. I was giving God obedience. I was listening even when in the back of my mind, I'm like, this makes no sense. I do not see the connection. And then I was always waiting at the end of it to hear why it makes sense to have done what I did. And I always found that I listened right on time. God did not shield me from feeling things, even though things were blocked and things were healed. I felt what it felt like when the illnesses were sent my way, when the energetic attacks came my way, when the betrayals of losing people, of losing things, I felt all of it. There was no shielding, there was no protecting. I went through the pain, I went through the projections, I went through all of it. And there were so many times, especially in the beginning, where I was like, I've been a good person. How is this possible? And as soon as I said that, nothing but good people started coming my way who were going through the same thing. Undeniably good people, pure-hearted people. And it was like, okay, well, it has nothing to do with good or bad. Almost everybody that I met initially, to the point that when I walk down the street or drive down the road and I see a person who I interpret as being a good person, I'm like, this person's vulnerable to this thing. This is exactly the type of person that they look for. Somebody that's gonna have very little fight, very little pushback, that they're gonna beat down, they're gonna get this person, lock this person up, and move forward. It's not about being a good person at all, but I went through like everybody else went through. Though people could see that I had God's favor and protection, I didn't go through as some sort of like superhuman. No, I went through like everybody goes through, so that I can let you know that the way you get through is through prayer. It's not through what people think is magic. It's not through, yes, there's energy work that needs to be done, and there's ritualistic stuff that I have done, but not the kind of magic that people think, not spell work, not sending work at people. And that is going to be proven in time, because the other people that also are working for God and with God, other people are going to see that they're going to incur the same thing with those people, if not worse, and they'll realize that none of us have the kind of knowledge required to do this kind of impossible stuff. This is mission impossible. One person against what I used to call a 1,000,000-man army. And why did I call it that? Because they can pop up new recruits out of thin air. Like, they must have a recruiting team, a group of people that's out there just picking up new people to come against you every day. They are replicating constantly. This is something only the gods could devise. The getting into it strategically and the coming out of it in a particular manner that makes it possible for people to see that there is a way out. And everything here is symbolic, because when I talk about the fact that how I got this page called God's Way is when I got hacked and they took over my business Instagram, and it said no way 1090, and I took over that page because they logged me out of my business page and logged me into another page called No Way 1090. And when I saw that page, I went on search and I typed in No Way, and a bunch of accounts came up. No Way 1090, No Way 34, No Way this, No Way that. And I realized Yeah, they're trying to take the business Instagram away because that's your source of income. Because I could see that they're trying to take my business and destabilize me. But more than that, I realized they've done this to other people before. So I calmly didn't panic or anything. I sat there, I calmly went back into my account, got back in, and logged into and changed the name and the profile picture of the old account, the new account they logged me into. I changed the profile picture to God's Way 1090. I changed it from No Way to God's Way. And they changed it back because that must have freaked someone out. When God wants your attention, God's going to get your attention. And I changed it back to God's Way. I got back into my old profile and I've been in there since. And I want to tell you, ever since then, everything that I have done has been God's way. I have surrendered to God's way because I've already done things my way, and because there is no other way. You're going to face this battle and you're going to fight your way out of whatever the circumstances are. It's not going to be short and it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be possible. If you want to be anything significant or have anything significant, it's not going to be short or easy. The short way and the easy way is the trap. You go and sit with anybody who's accomplished anything insane. And I'm not even talking about just billionaires or millionaires or people with money. I'm talking about people who had to put a cure together, people who had to invent something, people who had to fight for justice, take a big organization to court. How many years, how many tears, how many moments of giving up, how many moments of re-energizing yourself and saying, no, I'm going to push through. God is working through people like that in the same way that God works through you in whatever it is that you're going through in your fight. But you must understand too that this fight, when you get through it, God is never going to even have to ask you to tell people how to get through it. God's not going to have to ask you or beg you to say that you got through it with God. You're going to turn into an evangelist because you're going to be like, for what I went through, you can't keep it to yourself. That is how God puts people in service in a lot of ways, is because the story that you have to tell is a story that's going to impact and change people, because it wasn't easy. It was not easy. Who do you want to take weight loss advice from? Somebody who dropped 10 pounds or somebody who dropped 200 pounds, 100 pounds? Somebody who dropped 100 pounds isn't just going to tell you about what they ate, their meal plan. They're going to tell you about their self-esteem. They're going to tell you about how people treated them. They're going to tell you about how to deal with loose skin at the end of it. They're going to tell you about the improvement in their health and their medication. And these are the things that people actually need to hear. It's the little stories within the bigger story, because everybody can hear about the big deal of this happened and that happened and you were in a life and death situation, whatever. Amazing. But the most impactful part of your story is the part where you were on your knees. You had no more choice. There was no hope. There was no way out. When you get to that point, you have no choice but to do it God's way. And the harder your story and the harder your mission, understand that that mission is the service. Sometimes you think the service to God is you're going to have a church, or you're going to have a platform that's big and you're going to have all of this. Having a platform where you have like no one in your life, where you have bad engagement, where you have all, that's the service. That's the part where you're literally only helping one person. That's significant. That one person that you're there to help might be the person that needs it the most. Everybody that comes, like, there are people with a lot of platforms, a lot of engagement. Those people may not need it as badly as that one person needs it. There are some times where people are in situations where they're living in strife. They're living in chaos. They put on a brave face every day and they're holding back a lot and they're a well of emotions. It's very difficult to endure that kind of pain every day. And if I hadn't gone through this situation, I would not have known what other people endure in silence, because they're not allowed to talk about it. It's not that they don't want to talk about it. They're not allowed to talk. They got to put on a brave face, or else. or else their every move is being tracked. Oh, even down to their likes, the likes on their social media, their mail is being tracked, their bank account is being tracked, their movements are being tracked, what they say to people is being tracked. And once you've gone through it, you can see when people are putting on a brave face. You can see when they're standing in front of you, but them inside is like a little scared child. They're panicking. They've never seen anything like this. They don't know what's going on, and they are being gang stalked. They're terrified. You can see it only because you've gone through it. Going through it, when you ask God for wisdom and understanding, God will give you experience. I want to understand why these people behave like this. I could tell you, but if I show you, if you experience it, you'll understand better. You'll understand better. Why? Why doesn't this person want to take this opportunity to make money? I could tell you, but let me show you why this person refuses that kind of money. Let me show you what happens. Sometimes you have to, every time you have to feel it. There are some things we can understand, like don't touch the burner because it's hot. But the person who touches the burner is a very cautious person after the fact, because they truly, they go through it, they still have the scars, the memories are vivid. That's how God gets your attention, slowly but surely. There are behaviors that we all are warned about. Don't go this way, don't go that way. And sometimes because you've had favor, because you've had protection, because you've had all of this and you haven't gotten burned, you find it difficult, you don't understand. Sometimes God has to put you in a situation to understand what it's like. This is what it's like, struggling to control yourself. This is what it's like. And after you go through it, you can have compassion. You can muster the compassion. It's not that you're saying that I relieve somebody from being accountable for their behavior, but you're like, this is what it feels like. Holy hell, this is tough. So you get to a point where you don't demonize people as much. You cannot truly love someone until you understand them. And you cannot truly forgive someone until you understand them. You must walk their path to understand what it is that they're going through, and then you will be able to have compassion for them truly. So as you're going through things with people and you're saying that the gang stalkers are gang stalking you and they're harassing you and whatnot, well, they're living in an alternate reality where they're not living by the normal rules of society and they are trapped. They are not just tracked in every way possible, but these people are putting their hands on them energetically. They are courted to these people energetically. When you're courted to someone, you can feel their emotions. When they are mad at you, when they can abuse you energetically. So you can feel it. You feel the spell work a lot more. Now, if you're not energetically courted to people, it doesn't mean that the spell work doesn't come. It just means that it's easier to sometimes maybe not notice. Sometimes you think it's just coincidence. You haven't had that experience yet. But when they energetically court you, you're going to know for a fact. You're going to know for a fact. It's easier to breathe anxiety into you. It's easier to breathe rage into you. It's easier to breathe in fear and panic into you. And then you wouldn't even know that the practitioners are going through the same thing. These practitioners are not free. The tarot readers are not free. Nobody in the whole thing is free. It's the same thing all the way through. People don't want to do things and they have to do it, or else. Everybody here is a slave. The whole system works this way, where nobody can walk away. It will turn on anyone. It will turn on itself. I liken that to the devil card in the tarot, where the devil is sitting perched on something and there are chains from its feet to the neck of the people that are there, and these people are naked. They are not clothed. So you depend on them for sustenance, for life, for food, for the home you live in, for everything. They feed you as a parent would. That is what it feels like to be in these organizations. You have a place to live. It's not glamorous. It's not, you know, what they told you were going to have. There's no forward movement, and you definitely cannot come out, and you're stagnated, and you start losing not just hope, but the feelings of joy, of peace, of everything. It is lost through the exchange of the money, through what they gave you, through this opportunity, through this group with benefits, this secret group, this privileged group. That's how you lose it. They attack your dreams. You must have had a dream before you got here. They attack your dreams. And if you don't listen, you start seeing family members drop like flies until you understand, like, oh, they're taking people down. They're taking people down. And that is a call to action for me to listen, or else I'm going to be, because nobody ever says it to you. Nobody is going to come and say, hey, you better listen or else. They just come with a smile and they tell you what to do, but you get the feeling, you know, you understand what's going on. And they start with family members. They just take people out. They just take people out of here. I remember, and I told this story before, I remember I went to Home Depot and this guy was following me. I was upset. I was like, excuse me, are you following me? And he got so nervous. He got so scared. And then he said to me, he was like, my sister, please. He was, I want to think he said they took his sister. He's like, my sister died or something like that. And I thought, what the hell does that have to do with anything? What is he talking about? It took me a long time to realize that as soon as you start disobeying, as soon as you start not listening, people start passing away. So you get scared and you worry and you don't know what to do because you think their life is, the lives of the people that you love is going to be in danger. So this is when people are gang stalking you, it's much and I'm not saying they're dropping people by like violence or like, no, it's energetic. That's this is the part that is even worse. If they did it by violence, it would be one thing. But what can the police do about energetic work? What can anybody help you about any of that? Family of the police probably start dropping as well. I'm sure it's happened before. It's energetic what's happening. That is what's scary. In the beginning, you could probably tell yourself maybe it's a coincidence, but what happens when every single time you don't listen, something happens like that? How many people are you going to lose? What kind of guilt are you going to have to live with? So this is not an easy thing. And when the persecution starts and the gang stalking starts, gang stalking does not just come with people following you everywhere where you think you're in a movie or a nightmare. It puts you in such a panic because you feel like you're in one of those movies. You can't get away from them energetically. They're coming to you in your dreams. If you experience V2K, they're coming in your thoughts, in your head. They're surrounding you in every way. Everybody you used to know starts being horrible to you. What has happened in your world? Everything comes upside down. And they say, well, that's fine, but all you got to do is go do this to this person, do that to that person, do whatever. There's still people here that don't know the dark side of this. So they still think that the money is good. They still think like, why am I being blocked from making money this way? Whatever. They still don't know energetically what kind of things had to happen in order for them to get this money, in order for this illusion to work. They will put an illusion on an entire city. They will put an illusion on an entire city. Nobody will believe you. As soon as you start talking, people start yawning. They're going to fall asleep while you're on the phone or while you're talking to them, or they're going to start laughing at you, think it's funny, or they're going to think you're a liar, or they don't get your story. Even me, who was being gang stalked, people would say certain things and I'm like, I'm not sure I understand what you mean. Listen, if that's happening to you, wash your face with lemon and salt in a bowl of water, because there's something that it cleans energy. It's cleansing, it's pure. Because there's something about when you talk to people that they're not believing what you're saying. And that doesn't mean it's gonna fix it, because this is bigger energy work than just like something small. And And these people don't even know where to start to get away from doing this. Gang stalkers cannot leave. Gang stalkers think they can leave. They cannot leave. They cannot leave. You must understand that this is a bigger issue than just saying, I want the world to know about gang stalking. If people can take people out energetically, what is people knowing about it going to do? What is it being on the news going to do? Before it gets to the news, they're going to attack the news station. They're going to blow it up with energy. It's going to catch on fire. They're going to have technical issues. The reporter is not going to fall sick. Something is going to, what? You want to talk about energy work here? If you get any justice, it's because God's involved, because everybody along the way that's going to bring you justice is going to need protection as well. They're going to need shielding, because they're not just going to attack you. They're going to attack anybody that tries to come close to you. So in this situation, you need to gird yourself, fortify yourself in God's protection, in God's favor. If you're gang stalking, they probably infected you with some kind of entity, and they can control you through the entity. The entity, think of it as an emotion. They can control you through these entities. They can control you through cords. I mean, there's a gamut of ways to go about this. There's a ton of ways to go about this energy work. So don't think it's simple what's happening to you here. It's supernatural. They don't take you, see, the psychologist that wrote the report was doing so strategically. Maybe it's like, when you're trapped, you just enjoy your illusion. You ever see those women that are, again, using this example, women that are married to like superstars and stuff, and they just have all day and they take care of their body and they do this and they do that, but they know their husband is out there. He's probably right now sleeping with 5 women at a time. He's never home. He doesn't care about the kids. He's a horrible person. He's a narcissist. He's probably evil. Who knows what? But you have to enjoy your fantasy. So you're going to go out there, and you can see it in the woman's behavior. She's not happy, because someone who's happy at home is very loving, very soft, very feminine, and very kind. Somebody who's not happy in their marriage is horrible. They speak down on other people. They always have to prove that they're better than other people. They have to have more than other people. There's always a hidden competition between them and others, because the satisfaction that they're supposed to get at home, they're not getting it. They're being ignored. So some people just find a way to just enjoy what they have, run around, they gossip, they do whatever they can to fill their time, to create a life, because it's not being created with the person they're with, to create some sort of life, some sort of interest in their world, so that they can just have something that is for them. They don't have a career, they don't have a passion, but they need something, because he's never at home. Women are fawning over him. This is truly, it's like you almost feel like you're leasing something. Your position always feels in jeopardy. Every time you hear some other celebrity wife gets a divorce and gets tossed aside, you get anxiety. That's how it is. These people that are here, they have to just pretend to be enjoying what they're doing. They have to get a car, they have to get a house, they have to get something. They got to do something. They got to prove to themselves that I'm not out here doing all this treachery and other people are out here living life like I got to have something too. I got to do something too. They're stuck. So the psychologists or the psychiatrists or whatever you call them that diagnose people as schizophrenic and whatever, think about it. You go through all of this effort to have a secret society just so some psychiatrists can come and validate people's concerns? Of course not. And they gang stalk those people as well. You see those people, their pages, their platforms online, where they try to speak out. They show documents, they release evidence, they're trying to go to court, and then you just never hear from them ever again one day. Their platform, you never see one more post on it. They're gone. They tried to fight the good fight. They tried to operate out of integrity. They tried to do the right thing. They were isolated. They were gang stalked. The same thing happened to them. The only way through is with God. There is No other way. When you look at people physically before they started getting gang stalked and after they were gang stalked, they look dramatically different. They attack different organs, they attack your beauty, they attack everything about you. So when people see you, you look like you've gone through something. You look a mess. You don't have energy, you don't have peace, you can't take care. That scares the other people. The other people who are like, I remember this person and look what they look like now. They look fat, they look old, they look withered, they're unhealthy, they're sick. They do all of that on purpose to scare the other people from even trying. I just want to mention one thing that bothers me. I know if it bothers me, it's been put on my chest for a reason. I know gang stalkers crosswatch here. Please do not bring children and old people to gang stalk. People should not be in wheelchairs, in canes. Don't bring babies to gang stalk. Some people come to gang stalk, they're with children. The kids are right there. The kids are seeing this behavior. Energy is sensed. So the kids are sensing that what you're doing is not right. The kids sense something. They sense your demeanor and they sense the demeanor of the frightened person who's running off. They may not be able to put their finger on it now, but you guys are raising them in this way. Give children a chance to have a life of their own. Even though you think maybe your kids can never get out of it, do not put them in that position at their vulnerable age. Don't involve children. And I know there's going to be somebody somewhere that says, well, they call us last minute and we got to grab the kids and go and whatever. We just got to run outside. I don't know what to tell you. Don't bring children to gang stalk. Don't bring old people to gang stalk. Have a little bit of class. It's like, you know, there are people who shoplift or they do things at the airport and they bring the stroller and they hide it on the stroller. And then when they get arrested, because you get arrested by yourself, the people who sent you are not going to come and be like, hey, we did it. We told them to do it. That's what the money's for, is to pass on responsibility. You get arrested and they have to take the kid and put the kid in social services. And every time you go to court and they read those papers, you seem like scum. They don't want to hear why, because they feel like you use the child as a deflection, because that's what you're doing no matter how you cut it. You're using children as a deflection so you don't look guilty in doing something disgusting. You already know it's disgusting and you already know you cannot avoid doing it. It's fine. Do not bring little children to gang stalk alongside you. You guys are giving kids instructions to say things, to do things. I was moving and they had the little children in the way. Why are you strategically using children for something that you yourself are scared to do? In my situation, you're scared to do it and you got the little kids in the way doing it. Why? You're going to use your child as a shield so you can turn around and say somebody's doing spell work because a child got sick. Do you understand what a curse is? There are people who do spell work, they're pregnant, they have little children. Do you understand what you're doing when you do that? Do you understand energy does not interpret an age? Energy doesn't have an age. Sometimes energy sees your child as like a 50-year-old because of their age. You know, some souls are old. Don't bring children into your malice. Don't take children on trips where you're doing nonsense. Leave kids out of it. Find a babysitter. You have enough money. Do it by yourself. Do it by yourself. If you're gonna not have the courage to go through your fight, don't tell your grandfather. Do you know how lucky you are to have an elder, to have a father, to have an elder in your house that is physically here with you? I know in North America people do not respect elders. There's some places where the longer you can keep your elder, it's like the more blessings on your house. So you have an elder and you're putting them in play. Leave them at home. And if you have an elder and you have kids, leave the kids with them and go. Don't bring kids. If the kid's 18, 19, 20, even worse, because now they can understand. You're grooming them to think that this kind of behavior is okay. Let me tell you something. There are some people who commit crimes, who live a life of crime, who profit off of crime, and they don't let their kids know. They move to a great neighborhood. Some people don't even let their spouse know what they actually do. They want to keep their spouse pure. That's their bit of enjoying a normal life, is not having a spouse whose hands are dirty. They have a normal, sweet wife. They don't let the children know. The children go to a decent school with other people. No matter what they did in the back alley, when they come home, they wash off, they change their clothes, and they come home and they eat dinner normally. They go to church on Sunday. They're living a double life. But it is still better than teaching the children how to clean guns, than showing the children how to shoot, than showing the children how to rob, than showing them how to steal, and the children grow up in that energy. They grow up in the energy of being a thief who learns how to be a thief from small, who learns how to destabilize people from a young age, who is groomed to be that. You don't even get them a chance for God to touch them. You've sacrificed your child. Energetically, that's actually what you've done. You've sacrificed the child to this energy because you've used the child to make money in this way. You're hiding behind the child and you're using the child as a shield, hoping that an energy is not going to hit you. It will hit you and the child. It will hit you and the pregnancy. It will hit you and the newborn. It is an energy. This is energy. And right now, not just here, but everywhere, the energies are rectifying the situation. And when energies rectify, they are not negotiated with. They do not care. Especially when they've given a bunch of warnings and people know. What's warnings? People have fallen sick. People have lost things. People have lost their lives. Violent ways. These are warnings. Warnings everywhere. Warnings. And you're still coming with your full chest with children to do this. You are showing the energy who and what you are. That's how the energy interprets you. The energy is saying that if we leave this child groomed in this way, this child is going to be worse than the adult. Their only instruction is in evil. I've had people bring their children and the child saying, as I walk up, I see her whisper to the little boy, 3 years old, maybe, I don't even remember, maybe 7, whisper to him, and as soon as I come, I say hi. Why do you have gray hair? And I look at this girl and I'm thinking, why didn't you do it yourself? Why didn't you say it yourself? Why did you make the baby do it? What effect is it gonna have if a little kid says something like that? Maybe if it's repeated behavior that everybody's saying it, but what normal adult is gonna take offense to something that a child says anyway? No, were there people here watching you to force you to say, maybe that's how it works with gang stalking. Maybe there are people watching them covertly that we don't know about, but I think it's reprehensible. And I think that you shouldn't put children in the way to do these kind of things. And I think you shouldn't hide behind children. I think children should be sheltered from these kind of things while you rectify your own situation. Don't make it a group function, a family function. And then play stupid when the child develops childhood illnesses. When the child doesn't make it, it's your responsibility as an adult, as a parent, because the sins of the father fall to the son. And energy is transferable. It's not transferable, but it's infectious. And you all will suffer as a group. It's already bad enough that the kid's in that kind of house. Don't bring children outside to gang stalk. I don't know how else to say it. Just don't involve them in that. Don't involve old people in gang stalking. It is sad to see. And that's what makes people look more like a scum, is that you're involving an elderly person in this kind of thing, because how can they defend themselves? What are they going to do to defend themselves? Why at the end of their life are you subjecting them to this? The other thing is, well, I already said that. That really, that one pisses me off. That one upsets me all the time. Every time I see it, I'm just like, what a coward. Who does that? It's like you see people and they do things, and then like it's like there's a stroller. Why is there a stroller here? Do you know what it looks like when you get arrested and there's a stroller? Now everybody thinks like you don't care about your kid. That's how whole cultures, groups of people get a reputation that they don't care about their kids, that they could care less because a normal person doesn't do things like this. In order to get through this, I talked about this a bit yesterday, but I'm going to go about it again. There needs to be a refusal on your part to want to participate in this anymore, and it needs to be determined. You need to be determined that you're not going to do this anymore. What does that look like? It looks like knowing that these people are going to take everything from you and preparing yourself for it. If you want to avoid a situation with them, you can go ahead and just get rid of some of the stuff. All of it. Because it's not some that they're going to take, they're going to take everything. Did I purchase this thing through means of illegal activities? Yes or no? Very simple. Get rid of it. Simple. Otherwise, it's going to be taken anyway. You know, people go through and they get things in illegal ways, and then, you know, they just come and it's like it all gets seized anyways. The mansions, the jewels, the cars, they sell it at auction, they get rid of it. You come out of jail, you start at ground zero. It's the only way you get out. That's how people get out. So, you see what I'm saying? There's no point. Just get rid of it, because it's going to stagnate your life. It's going to cause issues in your life regardless, the longer you have it. A refusal also looks like you're no longer taking these calls, you're no longer compliant, and you are no longer participating in behavior that you know is wrong. You got to change. So what happens here is that sometimes you might have some sort of entity attachment on you that binds you. I've seen TIs with raging sex addictions that they're 1 minute they're themselves, and then the next minute they're commenting some overly crazy sexual thing from their account under some regular girl's picture. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my goodness, that's what it looks like. An entity attachment it just looks like an addiction. It doesn't look like what people think, like something takes over you and your eyes go red and you start speaking like a demon. Like, I mean, it could, if it gets like that, I'm sure it's horrible. But most times it doesn't look like that. It looks like an addiction. It could be an addiction to anything. It can be an addiction to food and you're just overeating constantly. It could be an addiction to sex or to porn. Most times it's to porn. It's the easiest way to get men. It can be an addiction to, you just have a bad habit. You can't control yourself. You have an obsessive personality where it's like scratching an itch. Once you start scratching it, it gets so addictive, you got to keep scratching it until you're clawing your skin off. You have to find a means to deal with that without ever doing the first scratch, because you know once you get into it, it's going to be problematic. In order to deal with this whole issue as a whole, if you're being gang stalked, they're going to send entities to you. That's part of the process of binding you. In order to deal with this issue, you need to transform as a person. You need to hatch yourself a new person. You need to energetically and spiritually and physically no longer be who you were from the inside out. That's why you got to lose everything. Everything is everything. Everything that came as a result of any money purchased by this means. And the universe keeps score. It has a tally down to the penny. So you will lose and you stop losing when you've gotten rid of all of it. And they know, they can tell. They can tell when you've gotten rid of all of it that they can't affect your money anymore. So everything means all friends, all family, the closest to you. Doesn't matter if they did anything to you or not. It means all associations. It means all business connections. It means anything you purchased, anything you bought. Think about going to jail and changing in jail. Think about it like that. Maybe you don't go to jail in the physical, but spiritually you go to jail. And think about the fact that you've lost all your possessions when you went to jail. You've lost everything. It's all gone. And you come back fresh as a new person. You got to start from scratch again. Like that. You got to lose everything. The amount of time you spend in there, you think people were waiting for you to come out. If they were so called, you're going to find out. If you had a wife, she was cheating, she has another kid. This is like, you're going to find out things. So you literally need to lose everything. You will lose your old self. You will be humbled in a way that you probably didn't see of yourself. You will be brought down to zero. You would have never seen yourself surviving, like you're in survival mode. That's what it takes to humble you. And it's not personal, it's with everybody. This is how the process works. You cannot get out of being a TI, a gang stalker, a practitioner in the dark, a tarot reader in the dark, somebody who is living an illegal lifestyle. You cannot get out of it as the same person on the other side. How do you get a new cycle? Change. And that's the same way you get rid of the entity as well. Because let me explain it spiritually. You have an addiction. You have an entity attachment that's on you. It's draining you. It literally drains not just energy, it drains peace, it drains hope, it drains money, friendships, anything good it blocks. If there's something good for you, it makes you sabotage it. It blocks anything good because anything good is going to take away the hold that it has on you. That's why it keeps creating these problems in your life. You have a good relationship, you're cheating. You have a good relationship, you're abusive. Something's happening, it's like no matter what, you're going to find yourself always losing things. Then you have all of these attachments onto you that you may or may not know about. People who've binded you in different ways, they're also draining you as well. They're also, you have attachment, you're paying karma for other people without even knowing it. People are stealing your good energy, putting their dirty energy on you. You're losing some of the best stuff that you've ever gotten in your life, some of the best opportunities. You're probably tired of going through this. How many missed opportunities do you want to go through? There are energetic cords here, and some of the cords are bindings to entities that have happened to you. Either it's been sent to you, or you've encouraged it with your behavior, or you've agreed to it with certain behavior. So I want you to understand something. It is very important that you not be the same person that found yourself binded in this situation. You cannot be the same person. You cannot go in a new beginning with old addictions. The new beginning won't even start. You cannot be free of gang stalking and you still have the same old patterns of behavior, of complaining, of passing off accountability, of whatever behaviors that you have, bullying, gossiping, envy, whatever it is, whatever you've become accustomed to doing in this lifestyle, you cannot move forward with that anymore. You absolutely must change genuinely into a new person. Now, there's some people that they can just say, I'm sorry, they can cry, they can put on a show, and then that works for people. It doesn't work with energy. And you definitely can't just leave and be a normal human being who just doesn't do that stuff anymore. It will come and find you immediately. You need to be a person who is now protected on this path. You need to be protected in life, because now that you can see behind the veil, you know that energies like this exist. You know that people like this exist. You know that organizations like this exist. And if you get through with the assistance of God, why would you? You know you can never imagine another day without being with God. You know that because there's always going to be the fear that this could happen again, and it will happen again. It will happen over and over and over again. There are recruiters on the streets every day that keep an eye out for another person that they can get and bring in. So you just going out there on your own and deciding on your own that you're just going to be a good person, but you're just, you know, the religion thing is not for you, the spiritual thing is not for you. Listen, that's not how you get out of here. That's not how you get out of here. That's not how you do the work. When you change, in the process of changing, you're asking God to come through for you. And in asking God to come through for you, you need to be of service. You need to be an asset to God. What is important to God is what is in the interests of God. So what you're asking for now becomes also what God needs or wants, because you're going to be of service to God in some way. Service looks like anything. I'm the person that, you know, my friends and family, you know, when you get new ones, because you can't take the old ones with you, can call in a tough situation, and I'm an example to them of what kind of person people should be. I talk to people about this or that. Whatever your purpose is, whatever your path is, whatever way you're going to find yourself in service, that's between you and God, but you devote your life to God. And God gives you new life. That's how you get it. That's how you break the bind. Looking for cleanings and looking for this and that and stand on 1 feet and spin around, like all of this is not gonna erase soul bindings. Soul bindings are permanent. So if you're in this situation, the organization, you're binded to it on a soul level. You're binded to people in the organization on a soul level. Everybody around you has binded to you in some way because they benefit off of your work, off of your labor, off of your mind, off of your endurance. They benefit off of everything that you're doing. You have to make sure that people no longer benefit off of your hard work. They don't benefit off of your fight. You start fighting for yourself. You come to terms with the fact that you have to lose this in order to be free. Free from the entities that are here, free from everything. You can break free. The soul that is here, that is trapped, is already here. New life is only through God. The soul that is here, that is trapped, is going to always be trapped. You must free yourself of that vessel, of whatever that is, and you must find yourself in marriage to God. You know how they say the church is the bride of Christ? That is literal. In a spiritual sense, it is literal. That's where you want that ring on your finger. That is who you want to be married to. You are spiritually married, spiritually binded, spiritually corded, spiritually chained to whatever this is. That's why you can never get away from them. That's why you can't move states, you can't move countries. It's a waste of time. It doesn't matter what your country looks like. They're gang stalking people globally. It's a network. And then there's people who it is possible to escape the gang stalking without even moving. This can only be done with the Holy Spirit, with God, with the assistance of your spirit guides. It cannot be, I can't sugarcoat it, because then it would be a lie. I can't tell you something that this is the only way. You have to find a spiritual, what word would I want to use? Stronghold. You have to fortify yourself spiritually. You have to work with God. There are things that it's a whole mindset. So say, for example, if you were a practitioner in this situation and you're used to fighting your way out with spell work, you can't do that anymore. It's gonna be, this whole thing is gonna be tough. If your normal way of thinking is that you throw energy at people, this is not how this works here. You gotta wait on God, which means that you need God's approval, and which means things happen on God's time. There are things you're going to ask for and you're going to pray for, and those prayers are not, they're not rejected, but it's like, no, this is not in your best interest, and that's why we're not going to do it for you. There's going to be things that you ask for and you're like, oh my God, this person who's persecuting me, how comes they don't stop this person? How comes they don't like put an end to this person? And it's like a year goes by, 2 years goes by, coming on the third year. The heck is going on here? Or are my prayers not being answered? No, it's because of you got to do it God's way. God knows best. So you have to return like a child with spirit. You're like a child with spirit. You know, the spirit looks at you like you come for advice. You bring everything to spirit. You get very dependent over time. People think prayers are just about asking for things, and the things you end up asking for have nothing to do with like material things. You're asking for endurance to keep going. You're asking for patience. You're asking to be brave. You're asking spirit to remove fear from your heart. You're asking to have faith. You're asking for signs. Give me a sign that it's working, please. I need encouragement. Give me confidence. So much. You get to a point where you're going in spirit and you're saying, excuse me, there's something that I want to do. Excuse me, do you think it's the right thing that I should do? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? And you're literally depending on a sign to come to show you what way to go. You're asking spirit, can I trust this person? Can I trust what I'm hearing? Can I trust this? Can I trust that? It takes a lot to trust in a spirit because it's not physical in front of you. Everything we want to do is practical. They will wait till you exhaust every means possible. And there's no other hope. Like, you cannot feel more hopeless than having no other means of your own to go about something. Like, you've tried everything 5 times, nothing works. That's where you get to the point where you start realizing you got to rely on spirit. You got to trust. And it's scary in the beginning because you're like, am I wasting my time? Am I going to look like a fool? Am I going to trust in a trap? Do I know the voice of God? Everything is a relationship. You learn God's voice on this path. That's what the whole path is about. By the time you get out, you get strong in the spirit. Your prayers sound different. The way you talk to spirit is different. The authority with which you pray is different. In the beginning, it sounds awkward. It sounds nervous. It sounds weird. You haven't done it before. What you should be doing more than anything is bringing children along when you pray, making them sit there even if they're too young, praying out loud, making them say a prayer. It doesn't matter if they're asking for a cookie. It doesn't matter if they're like, God, can we please go to the park tomorrow? Whatever it is, get them in the habit of praying so that they know how to pray. So you bring your children and cover them in protection first, because they will also be attacked. Everything that is attached to you, that is concerned with you, you got to bring it in prayer as well. You cannot sit here and wait for things to fall apart before you start thinking to yourself, don't start the process of refusing until you get strong in spirit, until you at least feel confident in spirit. That's what I would say. When I went through my situation of deciding, like, I am not living this life, I had a consistent prayer and meditation routine. And it's not to say that that's not going to be under attack, because they're going to, you know what, the attack's going to come from the inside. If you have attachments, that's how you're going to know. The attachment, every time you come to pray, it wants to stop you. It wants to do something. And if it's not coming from the inside, it'll come from the outside, because whoever you're accorded with can tell that you're praying. They want to listen into the prayers. They want to block the prayers. And sometimes it's not even them doing it. It's the entities on them that are doing it too. So it's much more complex than you think. All you need to worry about is, what is your relationship with God? What is your relationship with God? And always being very cognizant of, everything is a two-way street. God is going to get me out of this. What can I do for God? That's only the decent thing to do. Because that should be how you should think with a human being. You shouldn't just take that level of somebody putting their hands in fire for you and walk away like, thank you, appreciate it, see you next time, and you go and live life and I mean, that's horrible. That's horrible. Somebody helps you like that, usually you have loyalty to them. Usually you say, no, 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 for them, I must also put my hand in fire. I must also do something for them as well. That's just reciprocal. That's just keeping balance. Otherwise, it's a lopsided. It will demand balance anyway. This is just a universal law. There is no way Spirit's going to get you out of here and then you get to walk away scotch-free and like just give nothing of yourself, sacrifice nothing of yourself. You're going to walk out of here. God's going to have, you're going to give God your soul. It's a soul thing. You know, when people get baptized, that's a soul thing. You're giving your life to God and your soul to God because you need, this is your new family. This is the new place that you're entering into. Because if this place comes with this kind of protection, if this place comes with this kind of love, if this place comes with this kind of reciprocity, what day are you not going to want to be a part of this? This is also like a secret society, maybe not so secret, where when you're in service of God, help comes to you no matter when you need it, no matter how. You always have what you need. And there are going to be days that you're going to be required to be the help that somebody needs. And you're going to need to be selfless. In order to do so, you definitely need to heal the wounds that found you here in the first place. What made you insecure? What made you jealous? What made you insecure enough to need money? Did you think that was the way that you need to be loved? Why do you think that's the way that you need to be loved? Was it a mother thing? Was it a family thing? Was it a bad relationship that happened? Like, what happened? These are the things that need to be addressed. And just through contemplation, sometimes contemplating it, seeing it, revisiting it, some things are going to emotionally, be draining to deal with. Things that you've blocked out, they're going to come up on their own when you're healing on this path anyway, because you cannot carry God in your heart. And this transformation cannot be complete if you're the same person with the same behaviors who does the same things. It takes a while. Sometimes this healing takes years, to be honest, because you've been living it with it for years. The transformation is not fast. You're not just transforming to get out of here. Transformation is difficult. It's going to be stagnated as you stagnate the heavy lifting of addressing things you've done, forgiving yourself, the shame you're going to feel, the grief you're going to feel. It's going to be difficult. You're going to be fighting with God, grappling with God. But I did it because, but. You got to have to go through all those phases until you get to yourself to a point where you're healed enough. And it's still going to take a while for you to feel those chains being lifted off of you. So I don't want to give the impression that it's going to be easy. However, you want to speed it up, you definitely got to get rid of things. Get rid of people and things, because that you can do a little easier than the other stuff. The healing is, I don't care what you tell me, if healing were easy, we all would be walking around here healed. Healing is tough. Healing puts up a fight. Healing is not about being a good person or a bad person. Healing sometimes is healing from things people did to you. Healing is, it's always stems from something that happened to you that initially wasn't healed and now it proliferated and it's like a huge wound. So this is going to take time. It's going to take patience with your journey. It's going to take trust in God and trust in the process that no matter how long it's taking, it will happen. And sometimes there are things that have been put in motion. You got to follow through with it. So don't think that going through your healing journey will absolve you from paying the price of the things that you've done. We all have to. We all have to lose things. We all have to lose people, sometimes our freedom, whatever. But sometimes that's what it takes for your safety, or that's what it takes for where God's taking you. Sometimes that's what it takes. And trust me, it takes what it takes. It costs what it costs, because it's better than living like this. I always say it was 100% better to be a TI than to be a gang stalker, because I see how gang stalkers are treated. I've seen it. I've been here long enough to see it. These are not people that want to be bothered with this crap anymore. They can't stand it. They don't have a choice. They don't know what to do. Their sense of normalcy is gone. So I gave these tips yesterday. I'm going to give them again. how to start the journey energetically with God. I don't come from a place of just Christianity or just religion. I come from a place where both have to meet together. So the spiritual side, the Christian side is missing too much, way too much. And the spiritual side is also missing, because if you're just spiritual, they can still catch you. You must add the divinity of God to your spiritual journey. You must add the Most High to your spiritual journey, or you're going to be walking around here spiritually, finding it very easy to justify a lot of things that are not justifiable. So, first things first, prayer routines, institute them. A routine is a pattern of behavior that you do not deviate from for any reason. It's important to you. It is a priority. It must be done. Praying twice a day is just the beginning. You're going to need to get into a routine where you talk to God regularly. There are many types of prayers. There are the prayers that bring you to your knees. You're crying and you need help. It's desperate. There's just talking to God. There's asking God questions. There is asking God why. How could you let that happen? What was that supposed to mean? How comes you never came through for me? Asking, talking. This is how people have relationships. A spirit is just you, your spirit, but you're just assigned to this body. You have a lease on it. That's 100 years. You can't get out of it. You can't leave. Other energies can come and they can leave because it's not their vessel. This is yours. It's assigned to you. You're the snail and this is your shell and you cannot get out of it. Spirit is like that, but it is not assigned to a body. So you can talk to spirit like a person, because spirit will interpret. Spirit, they're people. I call spirit people because to me they're like people. They have this, spirits are going to have personalities. It will shock you. If you have been a religious person and you think of God as just this, they can come off as stoic because they listen so closely. They listen to words, they listen to intentions, they listen to actions, they read energy, they read vibration, they read your spirit, they put it all together. So they come off as stoic. They don't say many words, they say just what is needed. So they're light on details. I heard a preacher say that. I was like, finally someone says it. They're light on details. They don't tell you everything. You're not gonna know. But when they open up to you, when you're free to listen, when you're ready to be quiet, spirit is going to have a lot to say. Spirit is going to have a sense of humor. Spirit's going to have an opinion. Spirit's going to take a side. Spirit's not always neutral. Spirit's going to keep some things from you because they know that if you knew that you were here to help your gang stalkers, you would not want to do it. You would refuse. You'd be stagnated. They knew that they had to show you first what people are going through, show you first somebody else's experience, and then you would understand and you'd have a little bit more compassion and you would agree to do what it is that you're supposed to do anyway. This is what you're supposed to do. Is you're supposed to help people. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. When God takes you out of something, it's really to help everybody else. It's to help other people. It's not just about you, because you're not the only one suffering. You may have been the only one bold enough, endurant enough to go through, but you're not the only person. There are more people here that need help, that need to come out. So sometimes people are, in the beginning, they're going to persecute you and they're going to think that. And does it mean you're going to be perfect because you're walking with spirit? No. No, you're still going to be a human being. You're still going to have emotions. You're still going to be sick of this. You're going to have days where you don't want to be a part of it. All of it's going to happen, but you're going through this for a reason, and you're going to find out what the reason is, you know, probably at the end. And it's probably going to shock you, to be honest with you. Your prayer routines, maybe in the morning and the night you pray, and then in the middle you just play prayer. You play prayers on your devices. You play it all day, so the energy of prayer is always in your home. This is an energy that is not going to be comfortable to lower vibing energies. They don't want to be around that all day. They want to be around like dirty music. They want to be around things glorifying them. They want to be around screaming and arguing in the home and people mad and people crying. That's what they want to be around. They don't want to be around peace and hope and love. So you have to cultivate those environments for yourself. I implore you, if you're married and your marriage is difficult, or you have kids, you have difficulty, just by playing prayer and playing gospel, it calms the house down. You're going to combine spirituality with prayers. Prayers are not enough. Meditation is not enough. You need a meditation routine that's every morning, every night. Because when they gang stalk you, got to control your nervous system. You got to control your vibration. You got to calm down from the inside. You got to listen to God. Doesn't mean God talks to you every day. Sometimes you have a beautiful meditation, God doesn't talk to you. God doesn't say anything, but sometimes you get ideas in meditation because you're quiet enough. Sometimes it's quiet enough that God can finally say, hello, how much more do we have to do to get your attention here? How much further does this need to go? And God can give you that message just because you slowed down a little bit enough. So this is what the meditation is for. As your day's chaotic, I was thinking about a song that represented when I got gang stalked, and Nicki Minaj has this song. I don't know what it's called. I'm gonna find it next time anyway. And I'm like, that's what, and they put this song on a video game where like the mushroom queen or the princess is running with her little kids up and down the stairs and through different buildings, and she's being chased. And I'm like, that's what I felt like being gang stalked. In the chaos of that, if I don't meditate, if I don't take a moment to be quiet, I'm not gonna see the fact that they're doing all of that chasing to distract me from the fact that they're in the back stealing from me, to distract me from the fact that this agreement was a bad agreement. It's the meditation that slows you down enough to say, wait a minute, what did that person say to me today? Why did that person say that to me today? What does that mean? That's what happens. So you gotta slow down. Sometimes you're going the wrong direction too fast, and Spirit's saying there's a better way to go at this. And Spirit has an opportunity to say, I'm going to override the decisions that you're making, and I'm going to do the thing that's right, that we've been trying to tell you to do, that you're not listening to. We're going to calm this situation down for you because you're going the wrong way. So, prayer routines, meditation routines, and like I said, as a TI, you need to be a targeted person. You need to have prayer all the time. Prayer in the car. Prayer in your headphones as you go shopping. Prayer as you're being gang stalked. Prayer as they're chasing you around in the streets. Prayer during your anxiety attacks. Prayer during your depressions. Prayer while they're beating down on you. Prayer all day, all day. I had a point where all I was listening to was calming music, mantras, and prayers all day. If I was home, that laptop was running on some kind of calming music. It's all I had. And then you start implementing things in a routine, a little cup of tea, a lit candle, a bath, something. Things to bring you comfort, to relax you. Where's Knox? Give me a second, my cat's coughing. You need to have calming routines. You need to have calming routines because in the middle of it, in the beginning of it, they throw everything all at once. They want to end this thing as quickly as possible, and they need to throw everything at once. You're going to feel like the kind of load that falls on you, you're going to feel it physically as well. So you need to make sure this is a way. Let me tell you something. I've tried so much protection, and I have so many different ways of protecting myself, and nothing works better than prayer. nothing. Now, when I know that energy and spell work and whatever is there, I have to institute the other methods. But when somebody has an entity on them, the entity doesn't want to hear prayer. That's what I'm saying. You're being attacked by energy. And it's the opposite vibration of what's coming to you, because prayer is hopeful. Prayer teaches you. Prayer calms you down and slows you down to think. One second. Prayer is going to, and if you have an entity on you, that entity doesn't want you to pray either. It doesn't want you to pray either, because it's repellent. It's the opposite vibration. It cannot reach you while you're praying. It cannot influence you while you're praying. Now, if you yourself are having issues with fighting these addictions, you're trying to pray and you're getting sexual thoughts. You're trying to pray and you're getting visions of sex and whatever. It's like such an inappropriate time for it to happen, but it also blocks you from God. You get the prayer going and the energy has no choice but to subdue, because you're going to have a hard time praying, because it's going to fight you in the prayer. It's going to try to make you get sleepy. It's going to try to make you curse. It's going to try to make you get mad at God. It's going to try to make all of these things happen. You're going to be in the middle of prayer and you start arguing with God. All of these things are going to happen. All of these things are going to happen. So you have to get yourself to the point where it is out, the prayers part is outside of your control. It's just happening, and sleep with prayer, because they're doing a lot of work on you while you sleep. Have the prayers going as you sleep. Make your device not fall asleep, and have prayers going all night. You can find on YouTube 11-hour video streams that just go for days of prayer. It will help you, it will heal you, it will block. No entity wants to hear that. It's the same discomfort after you come in a certain place with God. You can't listen to certain music anymore. As soon as you hear it, it's so repellent to you. It's almost like you want to unhear it quickly. You want to run from it. That is what the prayer, that's how the prayer works on that side. So I cannot impress that enough. And then you want to go from a place where you gotta keep pushing to pray your own prayers, your own spoken prayers out loud. It's kind of like how people who are spiritually inclined, who practice spiritually, they will tell you when you say things out loud, it works better. It's the same thing. You could think it in your head, but prayers that are audible are better. So you're gonna force yourself to pray out loud. You're gonna force yourself to pray out loud. You're gonna force yourself every day as it fights you. You're gonna cast these energies out of your life. You're gonna block them out of your life. You're gonna say that they cannot come here. They cannot conquer over you. Whatever is yours is gonna be yours. And you keep invoking that energy, invoking it. You keep saying it. You keep repeating it. You're not gonna believe it right away, but slowly you start believing it, with or without your permission, because this is the energy that you're now serving, is an energy of hope, an energy of authority over your own life, where you're saying, I am not going to be controlled by these entities. I'm not going to be controlled by the people these entities use to persecute me. And you need to keep invoking this energy night and day all the time. You got to turn that aggression of asking God why, and turn it on this energy and push it out of you every day until it becomes your habit. You can start getting some sleep. You can start not being so attacked in your sleep. When you get a little bit of sleep and you wake up in those nightmares, you wake up in prayer, because it is just such the routine. It's the norm. I prayed so much. I was exhausted. I mean, I prayed every prayer I could think of. I've said every combination of things I could think of. It's like, it's the routine. So if I get attacked in my sleep, I wake up in prayer. I jump up in prayer. It's a routine. It doesn't take any time to say, well, what should I do? It's just the norm. It becomes the habit. So you wake up in prayer. You wake up rebuking it. You wake up casting that spirit out. You wake up so it doesn't get a hold. And it will try to reattach all the time because it knows you. But you have to change in order for the things that you used to like, you don't like them anymore. That's how you reharvest your soul. That's how you get new life. You used to like ice cream, and I'm using ice cream as an example. Better yet, You used to drink, you're not drinking anymore. You get rid of all the drinks. You don't go places where people drink, and you cannot associate with drinking buddies anymore. It's done. You used to watch porn, you're not watching that anymore. You don't want any of the ads, any of the pop-ups. You don't want any of it anymore, because it's like the little itch, little bit of a scratch, you're down the rabbit hole. Now you feel it's harder for you to start back again. You're going to start feeling dejected, like why bother starting? You got to avoid it. You're going to feel an urge for it, and you got to say no. Go do something productive. Go for a walk. Go exercise. Go listen to something. Sometime in the beginning, you're not going, in the beginning, prayer is not enjoyable. Prayer seems like something you're doing because you're scared, you're nervous, it's your last option. Eventually, prayer becomes enjoyable because you get to know God. You're talking to God for yourself. God's talking back eventually, and you can communicate with God. You think that's no special ability to communicate with God? You can hear God. That's no special ability. Sometimes you're hearing God through your own voice. Sometimes God has a different voice. Sometimes God has a female voice. But it's by the messaging that you know. You know that you wouldn't have come up with that answer. You know you wouldn't have said something like that. So you know that has to be some energy outside of you, and it's guiding you slowly but surely. It's taking its time with you. It's not going to be all at once. It took me years of meditation before I felt like I could really discern that this is God communicating with me. The first 2 to 3 years, and it could just be me, but the first 2 to 3 years of a strict meditation routine, I think I got my first deep meditation months later, if not a year later. I was so excited because it was so hard. I could never stay in. Meditation is going to be an in and out thing. And if you're meditating under duress to get yourself to calm down, it's going to be a little harder. You're going to maybe need some incense, you're going to need some water sounds, guided meditation music. You're going to need all kinds of things. I still do guided meditations years later. So the meditation thing, don't think you're going to perfect that. I think it's a huge sign of dedication from like yogis and monks and people like that can just meditate all the time. They have to do this on such a routine, and you're only doing twice a day. People like that will sit in a meditation for hours. So don't beat yourself up, but it's the always trying, keeping going, never coming to a point where you're like, well, there's no point, I'm not going to do it. Always pushing the meditation thing, and try not to meditate when tired. And you're going to go on a journey with that meditation thing. I talk about gospel music and mantras. I talk about listening to preachings. So you can listen, whatever your religion is, it doesn't have to be Christianity. If you're Muslim, you listen to imams. If you're Jewish, you listen to, I don't know what their people are called, rabbis or whatever it is, as long as the message is giving you something. I listen to everything. I can listen to spiritual stuff. I listen also to people who talk about like baneful magic, how they do that. Knowledge is knowledge. Everything enriches your understanding of the spiritual world and of what is going on with you. And who better to learn from than the types of people that do these things to you? So don't take away any knowledge, and you don't need to demonize any part of it, because it's life, it's happening. People are doing dark work. So you might as well learn a little bit about it. People are doing baneful magic. You might as well learn about it, because how can you protect yourself from something you don't understand? How can you understand the minds of the people attacking you and you don't listen to anything that they say? You are running from it. You gotta at least hear what they're saying, because their conversation is gonna shock you every time. You're gonna truly understand what you're up against when you hear them say certain things. Everything that you institute in your life is a routine, and really the only thing God needs is for you to never give up. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to, God takes you as you are. A pure heart that is authentic, that really is remorseful if you've done things wrong, that is begging for forgiveness. God sees that. God, you gotta plead, you gotta make right with God if you've been gang stalking. Hopefully the writing is on the wall in your life and you can see it, because if not, you might think that it's not important to do. This is no way to live. This is a waste of a life. This is a life stolen, and you got to get your life back. You got to get your life back on track. You got to use the gifts that you have. The things that make you good at bad things need to be used in a productive way towards society. You cannot be here and you're a good hacker, you're a good medium, you're a good witch doctor, whatever, and you're using that to destroy yourself. Because whatever we do to others, we are going to be the ones that suffer from that. That's literally the last verse. And let me just read it before I close this out. This is Proverbs chapter 5, 21 and 23. For the ways of man are before the eyes of the Lord. You cannot, let me just put a pin in that. When you wake up spiritually, God hears all your thoughts. There is no hiding. When I found that out, it freaked me out because God was responding to thoughts I was having privately to myself. And I was like, oh my God, what did you hear? Everything else. They heard everything. You can't hide. You cannot pretend. They hear everything. So, and in the same way that God hears everything, there's practitioners, there's people who are spiritually gifted that also can listen to your thoughts as well. So, when I say, so you want to say, how do they track you without the GPS? Spiritually, that's how. How do they get your password? Spiritually. All of it is spiritual. All of it is spiritual. These things take discipline to get out of, patience to get out of. So when I say you need the Most High God to get out of here, you're not coming out on your own. For the ways of men are before the eyes of the Lord, and he pondereth all their goings. God is meditating on the things that you're doing. His own iniquities shall take the wicked himself, and he shall be beholden by the cords of his sins. He will be held in place by the cords of the things that he's done. He shall die without instruction, and in the greatness of his foolishness, folly is foolishness, he shall go astray. You don't have to attack people. People do things by their own hand. That's one of the biggest tricks of the enemy, is they get you to sign the paper yourself. They get you to do the gang stalking. They get you to be voluntarily part of it. They get you to agree, even though you don't know what you're agreeing to. And it is a very, a deceptive way to get someone into something. But it's just the fact that you should know that it's wrong. You should know that you shouldn't be making fun of people for any reason whatsoever, no matter what story they give you. It's not even your thing. You should have integrity. Some people used to come to me with stories about other people all the time, and I'd stand by and be like, but that doesn't make sense. Also, what does it have to do with me? So you need to operate out of integrity. You need to let God handle your battles. I have come from trying to handle my own battles to tell you that you need to let God handle your battles. Follow instruction of spirit. Be very obedient in a timely fashion. God says do this or do that. You do it immediately. You don't wait 2 weeks because you don't know why God waited this long to tell you. Sometimes you only have 12 hours, 4 hours, or you got to do something right away. As soon as you do it, you see the ball drop and you're like, oh my God, this was the reason why. So God is going to take you down a few corridors, and it's not meant to hurt you. It's just meant to open your eyes, to show you things are supposed to happen, and then you see why. So this is my message for today. I've kind of stopped doing spirit messages cards because the messages themselves are a message from spirit. Not that I won't start again. But listen, if God gives you an opportunity to get out, if you get a window, you would be foolish to hesitate, because not everybody gets the opportunity to get out. God must see something of value in you that God can use, and take the opportunity. Consider yourself like a hacker that hacked the US Treasury successfully, and instead of being put in jail, they offer you a job. Consider it like that, because not everybody gets to have an opportunity. And if God's been trying to get your attention from day one, don't fall into old habits or staying in. You gotta fight it through to the end. Every day, every hour, every minute is gonna be a struggle. That's how it is getting gang stalked, and it is what it is, but it is so worth it coming out on the other end. I'm gonna do the crystal of the day. I'm not even gonna shuffle because this is one of my favorite crystals. I have this. I did this last time and I'm gonna do it again. The crystal of connecting to the higher realms is selenite. I have a big selenite wand for a crystal that is so powerful. I call this a master crystal. It's the cheapest crystal ever. I bought this big one, like this big, for like 25 bucks. If I'd known, I would have gotten more. But it's a healing crystal. So you lay this thing on you and it almost like sucks things out of you. I kid you not. You go to bed the night before with something, the selenite doesn't need cleaning. It's salt based. It cleans the other crystals. So any crystals that you leave beside or touching the selenite, it will heal it. And then there's this other girl that I heard that had cancer and she got cured from it. I kid you not. And in her getting cured of her cancer, she said she used to sit there with the selenite on her leg every day. And the doctors kept freaking out about like, how did she get healed by this? So much so that she ended up in the newspaper, that they've never seen anything like this before. That is how powerful selenite is. So I'm gonna read about it. It's called crystallized divine light, and the vibration is extremely fine. Selenite anchors the light body into the earth vibration and downloads divine light into the physical body. It creates a safe, peaceful space that does not allow outside influences to penetrate. So if you think you're dealing with entity attachments, if you think you're dealing with addictions, if you think you're dealing with things that are coming as an internal struggle, then I would get selenite and I would lay it on me. And I used to just have it on me literally all day. Like if I'm sitting, it's on my skin. I used to be at work and it used to be like tucked in the band of my pants with my shirt over all day long. This stone detaches entities from the aura and prevents anything external from influencing the mind. It reaches into other lives or the future and checks progress made with the current life plan, pinpointing lessons and issues being worked upon. Meditating with this crystal brings about a conscious understanding in what has been occurring at the subconscious level and shows how it can best be resolved. So in the mind, it brings clarity, clears confusion, facilitates seeing the bigger picture. And on the body, it helps with the spinal column, joints, breasts, nervous system, puberty, and menopause. I highly recommend it. If I have no crystal at all, I'm going to use selenite, and this definitely assists with entity attachments, because when I was being sent that kind of energy, it's my selenite that I was always, it's like energies don't want to deal with feeling that, because this is like a salt crystal. This is like, it's not like a salt crystal, it is a salt crystal. So if you've watched my channel, you know I talk about using salt as protection. If you have issues sleeping, nightmares, people attacking, entities attacking, I almost want to say you almost prefer entities attacking you than people, because people can push themselves to pass protection barriers. Entities respect them a lot more. So I would line under your bed, close to the exterior, close to like the edge of the bed, line under your bed with salt. I used to have people coming to work in my house and under the bed had salt, and I didn't even bother explaining at a certain point anymore. So we had salt around our beds, but one thing I can tell you is the first time I lined my house and my bed with salt, I had peace. Peaceful sleep. No more being woken up out of sleep too early, or not be like no more of that. Now, that's not to say a determined practitioner is not going to come through it, but it is to say that you will feel that help. Put protection in your bed. You need your sleep. I put mothballs in and around my bed. Don't let it touch your skin because it will burn your skin. But I put mothballs in and around my bed. I put salt in and around my bed. I sage every night before bed. It calms the entire house. It makes sure that the house is clean. It doesn't mean that energy is not going to get sent in while I'm sleeping, but at least there's a barrier. and you're not letting it collect. So never let energy collect in your home. I use white sage. I don't listen to anybody that says, you know, about sage is this or that, or it's endangered, or this and that, or it's cultural appropriation, whatever. That's some nonsense that came from witches that had to eat their own energy because somebody saged their work. It's propaganda, okay? The earth will continue producing plants. We don't say that about mangoes that come from Mexico, that we're culturally appropriating the mangoes, or the bananas, or the guavas, or the whatever that are tropical. We don't say that, but we're saying it about sage. Why? It's not like as many people use sage as use mangoes. Spiritual people use sage. These are the protection materials that have changed my life, that have made it possible for me to be at peace, look like this after 2 years of being gang stalked, because I cleanse my energy, I cleanse my aura. I have how-to videos on a playlist on my page. Go to the playlist and go look through how to do everything. You're gonna need that help. You're gonna need those habits instituted before you start on your walk. You're gonna need to know how to clean. You're gonna need to get in a cleansing routine. If you have any entities attachments, you need to be doing spiritual baths like every day, prayer every day. It's a discipline. You got to get it off of you. You have to create a hostile environment for this thing to leave, because it does not want to leave without the pay for all the work it's put into you. You got to create an environment that is salty, that is fiery, that is hot. I'm talking about energetically. So mothballs are hot, salt is hot. What else is hot? Mothballs, salt, pepper. You'll think of things. Do research. One channel is not enough. YouTube things, Google things, TikTok things. Search every platform, because there are people like myself who are being pushed to spiritually share what they have because people need them. You can talk about, even if it's the military, no matter who is doing it, your prayers will shield you. That's what prayers and connection with God is for. No matter who or what it is that is provoking you, you don't have the technology to block it. You have prayer, you have God. God will do that for you. So you do your best for God and you leave the rest to God. You make sure you do everything you can do. Don't leave any work on the table. And then invite the Holy Spirit, invite Father God to enter your life, to do the rest, to push back on what you cannot handle, and reward yourself and congratulate yourself for any day you can go a full day or a half day or a quarter day where you won that battle with that addiction, you won the battle with that horrible behavior, and start again tomorrow as a fresh day. And you don't need to earn God's love. Like every time you screw up, you're gonna say, damn, God's gonna give up on me because, you know, I fell into this behavior. No, God might let you experience why you shouldn't be doing it after all the warnings, but God doesn't give up on you. God's gonna come back. So always remember that God loves you unconditionally without the conditions, and that if you're fighting for a connection to God, that what you want, God wants as well. So God's gonna meet you more than halfway. And one of the things I say to God is, I gave you my heart, I gave you my soul, but what I got back in return is not even equal. You get God. You get a direct connection to God. In your heart, God lives here. God is with you. You feel God. You communicate with God. There is no money for that. No one can sell that to you. That is not for free. That comes at a cost that most people do not want to pay. So don't think you're giving up your life in service and your soul in service and you're just going to be of service for free and you get nothing out of it. You're going to get out of it much more than you are giving. Much more. But you're giving that because God cares enough to want to protect you from all the danger that is outside. And the danger that comes in a seductive manner, it comes in a way that sounds so good, that sounds like a no-brainer, that sounds like you'd be stupid to refuse. It's easy, it's win-win, but it's not. So things like what God gives you that's hard work to go through. It is hard work to master yourself, to come from a place of addictions, to fight external things while internally you're also fighting the hardest battle of your life. But it is worth it. That is where your abundance lies, in that battle. That is your testimony. That's your story. And that's a story a lot of people can resonate with. You might end up speaking to drug addicts, pimps, criminals, all kinds of people who would not relate to someone like me, because I've never lived that life. So what do I know? If you didn't go through it, people wouldn't take you seriously. If I went through it, I have to go through it to speak to people like myself. And then God brings other people who can speak to. That's why people will look at people and be like, oh, this person used to be a criminal and now they talk all about God. Criminals are going to listen to ex-criminals. They're not going to listen to people that like myself. I don't know what it's like. I don't know what it's like having to be a criminal, feeling like you have no other choice. I don't know what it's like to be trafficked. I don't know what all of that stuff is like. So how can I speak to somebody's pain? How can I understand what they went through? I can't tell them the things that they need to hear because I've never experienced it and I don't know. So sometimes what is for you comes from you living that life, you speaking that language, you having those colloquialisms, you understanding how things work, to speak to those people that know and tell them, this is why I went through it, and trust me, it's not worth it. This is why. So anyways, that is my message for today. Have a great day, a Sunday. Today's Raw Day, the day of the sun. And remember that God loves you.